Hello everyone. I think out of sheer excitement, I started the video a bit early. So I hope you'll all excuse me for that. And I now realize that I stayed quiet for 3 minutes, so that is going to look really weird in the video, but that's all right. So I welcome you all, and my name is Pallavi, and I run a website called One Knit at a Time. It is my attempt to make more, to encourage more people to knit, and I don't know how successful I am in doing that, but I enjoy it very much, and I want other people to enjoy it as well. That's the reason I run the website, and that's the reason I'm doing this video today. Before I say anything further, I just want to say that this is my first video, so I'm very camera shy. I'm nervous, and I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to stammer, and my hands are definitely going to fumble. I'm going to drop the yarn. I'm going to drop the needles, and I hope you'll all excuse me for that. I did think of putting just my hands on camera instead of my face, but then I realized that that may not always be possible. So please excuse me for all mistakes that I make, and let's proceed. So the reason why we are doing today's video is because a lot of you asked me that a lot of you showed a lot of interest in one of the pictures I uploaded yesterday, which was a picture of this. This is a knitting dolly, and a lot of you asked me, how do you knit with this? And though it's very simple to knit with this, and I could have pointed you to a lot of videos, but I thought, why not take this opportunity to tell you how to use this. So let me do that. Before that, I just also want to say that you can ask me any questions. I don't know if you can ask me. I'm new to this FB Live, so I don't know if you can ask me while I'm speaking. But later on, obviously, you can ask me any of these questions. Okay, so this is a French. This is a knitting dolly. It is made out of wood, and I have already placed a link on my Facebook page if anyone wants to buy it. And it's not very expensive. It is a great gift for children. It's a great thing for your children to make them interested in knitting, and I highly recommend buying it. It's very easy to use. It'll probably, it's not more than 200 bucks, and I think it's a great investment because something very beautiful comes out of this. So this is the dolly. It usually comes with a needle like this. This is a tapestry needle. It may not come with a needle like this, but it really doesn't matter because you can use anything. You can even use a toothpick to do what I'm going to show. I'm just going to show you what you have to do, and you can even use a toothpick for that. So it really doesn't matter what it comes with. It does come in various types of material though. The most common that I have seen is wood. You can always there's also plastic and other materials, but I think wood works just fine. So if you see it carefully, there are 4 pins on it. These are 4 pins, and the different styles that exist for these sort of dollies are, you may have clips like paper clips. Those sort of ends may be on top of this, or you may have some grooves to make knitting easier, but they all serve the same purpose. So in the end, it will look something like this only. So if you know how to use this, you can use any of them. And yeah, I think that's as far as this is concerned. You will, as I said, you will need a tapestry needle, not just to knit, but for some other purpose also. I'll just tell you what that is. You can use a crochet needle if you want to do the knitting. I like to use a double pointed needle, which I'll just show you how it is used. You'll always obviously need a pair of scissors. You always want to keep a pair of scissors handy when you are doing any sort of knitting, and you obviously need yarn. So now yarn is obviously a matter of choice. I like using cotton yarn for my craft projects because I think it's sturdy, and who wants to use wool for crafts? So this is Anchor mercerized cotton, and it's a great yarn to have for craft projects. So this is what I'm going to use today. Now I've shown you everything that you're going to need, and I've gone really fast, so I know that I tend to speak really fast sometimes, but this is generally what you're going to need for today's session. And now let me tell you what comes out of this. So basically, French knitting is nothing more than knitting an I-cord. An I-cord is something like a knitted rope. It's a knitted rope. It can be used to make various other things. I mean, it's not a standalone item. It will always have to, you'll have to put it together in different shapes, in different styles, and something will come out of it. So like, for example, yesterday what I had put up was my first attempt at this is a cell. It's called a Celtic rose, and I tried to make this. I don't know how good it looks or whether it can actually be called a Celtic rose, but yeah. So this is actually an I-cord. This is a knitted cord. This is what comes out of a knitted dolly, and this is what we are going to learn how to make today. So let's begin. This is your dolly. What you need to do is, first you need to make a slip knot. And I've already shown you how to make a slip knot. I have written about it. I've put up a video on YouTube, but I'm still going to show it to you again. It's never, you can always learn it once more. So a slip knot is very easy. You just make one loop. You've made a loop like this, and and different people make slip knots in different ways. I tend to pull it like this. So a slip knot looks something like this. It can be, I don't know, it's just something that your hands know how to do after a point of time when you're knitting. So this is how you make a slip knot. Once you've made a slip knot, you have to place it on one of the pins on this dolly. And it doesn't matter which pin you place it on, as long as you remember which one it was on, because this is your first stitch and you need to remember that, because that is also going to be your last stitch. So I'm just going to say it's going to be above this little guy's left eye. Yeah, left eye, and you just tighten the slip knot on the pin. Just 1 second. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to fumble quite a bit today. Yeah, so this is how it looks with the slip knot. Now I said you're going to need the tapestry needle for more than just knitting, and you need it to this end of the yarn, which is the yarn, the sort of piece which is no longer connected to the yarn ball. This has to go through the center. If you see, it's hollow from the center. I don't know if I'm sure. I don't know where the camera is in this. Yeah, yeah. So this is hollow from between, and this end has to go through this. And one of the best ways I'm sure there are many ways to do it, but the way I like to do it is I just thread it through a tapestry needle and I put it through, which is, I think, the simplest ways to do it. Doesn't take very long. And yeah, so just push it through and your end will be out. Yeah. So this is your basic setup. This is how you set up your first stitch in a knitting dolly. Now once you have done that, so this is like casting on. This first round is casting on, and since there are only 4 stitches, so it doesn't take very long. You've already cast on your first stitch. Now the one thing to remember in French knitting or using a knitting dolly is you always move towards the left. So you will move like this in the clockwise direction. That is most important to remember. Once you keep that in mind, you are not going to make a mistake. Always move in the clockwise direction. But to make the first stitch or to cast on, you have to wrap the yarn in an anti-clockwise direction. So you just like, this is my first yarn. I have to move the yarn towards the left. So I'm just to remind you, this is you're seeing a mirror image, so everything is reversed. But I'm moving my yarn towards my left, which you can see as your right. So you move the yarn towards your left and you wrap it on the next pin anti-clockwise. Yeah. and make the second stitch. That is the second stitch. I don't know how to show it. Yeah, this is the second stitch. Now you once again move your yarn. This is your yarn. You're moving it in the towards the left, and you wrap it on the next pin. Yeah, 1 second. Okay, it's not easy to do this in front of the camera. Yeah. In the anti-clockwise direction. So now you have cast on 3 stitches, and then you are just left with 1, and yeah, just do that. Yeah, move towards the left and wrap it in it. Okay, I'm going to do it quickly here because my hands are going to fumble so much otherwise that nothing will happen. We are just going to keep sitting here. Yeah, so 4 stitches are now. This is you can see there's a sort of a square made of the yarn, and that is the starting point of your knitting. That's it. This is French knitting, and from now on there is no wrapping, there is nothing. You just have to simply, just 1 second. Yeah, you have to just now move your yarn simply towards the left. Okay, how do I show this? Can you see? This is coming from the last stitch, and you just have to place it on top of the previous stitch. Okay, let me try to make this image a bit clearer. For those, while I do this, for those who are just joining in, my name is Pallavi, and I run a website called One Knit at a Time, and I'm trying to show you how to use a knitting dolly. I don't know how successfully, but let's hope something will come out at the end of this. So we have already cast on our 4 primary stitches, which look something like this. These are your 4 stitches which have been cast on. So mirror images. Yeah, and now we have to begin knitting. So to knit, what you do is you just place the yarn like this on the previous, just above the previous stitch. Can you see? I have just taken the yarn and I have placed it like this. It was like this, and I have placed it like this. I've moved it to the next pin, which is on the left, and I have just placed it like this. Now you hold on to this yarn with your left hand. So if you see clearly, where is the camera? Can you see? Yeah. If you see, there are 2 stitches on this pin, and the whole process is that the bottom stitch has to go over the top stitch, and the way to do it is, I'll just show you. So I am using a double pointed needle to do this, and the way to do it is just pick up that stitch which was below. Okay, I'm going to do one first and show you how it looks, because this first one is usually a bit tricky for even someone like me, and sometimes I struggle with it. I have to use my hands also a few times, and but after that it gets pretty easy. Yeah. So how do I show this? Yeah, once you have placed done one stitch, it looks something like this. I don't know how much of it is visible, like this. Okay, let me show you some more. So you just keep moving your yarn to the left like this. If I only knew where to show, it would make my life easier. It looks like a boxing ring, if I have to put it simply. Just keep turning the yarn around the four pins, and keep moving the stitch which is below, keep moving it up over the yarn. So like I did one stitch, I just showed you one stitch. Now I'll show you the second one. Wait a second. Yeah. 1 second. I think I may have made a mistake somewhere. Let me quickly undo it and do it again. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just quickly do the first 4 stitches and then I'll show you what it looks like. Yeah. Because it's the first 4 stitches that are the most difficult because they're the tightest, and after that it becomes pretty simple. Yeah. So if you see, I have done the first 4 stitches and it looks something like this. So what I have done is I have created a second sort of square on top of the first one, which has happened because, you know, like when you knit normally, the process is the same. You you know, you create how the way to create a new stitch is by taking the old stitch and taking it through the how do I explain it? You know, you use the yarn, the working yarn, and you make a, okay, no, forget it. So the thing is that there is a simple principle to French knitting and to loom knitting, which is basically that you have to just keep building on the previous knit, and each loop has to be taken over the previous yarn. So if I have to explain it in Hindi, and I'm from the Hindi speaking belt, so it will be easier for me. आपको क्या करना है, आपको अपना जो नीचे वाला स्टिच है उसको आपको इस पिन के ऊपर लेके आना है. जब आप एक बार इसको ऊपर लेके आएंगे और आपका यहाँ पे यार्न होगा तो एक नया स्टिच अपने आप बन जाएगा और वो एक दूसरे से ऐसे क्रिस क्रॉस हो जाएगा, तो वो अटक जाएगा एक दूसरे के साथ. निटिंग में भी ऐसा ही होता है, बस उसका करने का तरीका डिफरेंट है. आप एक लूप बनाते हो, उसके अंदर से अपना पुराना लूप निकाल लेते हो, वैसे ही आप इसमें भी कर रहे हो, बस इसको करने का तरीका डिफरेंट है. तो अभी मैं एक राउंड इसका कर चुकी हूँ. अब ऐसे ही इसका दूसरा राउंड आप करते जाओगे और उसके बाद बस इसमें दिस इज ऑल यू हैव टू डू for your French knitting. You just keep pulling, you keep moving your working yarn towards the left, like this, and you keep picking up the stitch which is at the bottom and moving it over the old stitch, moving the new stitch over the moving the old stitch over the new stitch. If anyone is online, I don't know how to see that, but if anyone is online and you feel that I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this, please tell me, or I don't know, put it in the comments or somewhere so that I can do this again. I can probably show it in some other way, I don't know, but this is the simple principle of how to do French knitting. The one thing you have to keep in mind is you keep pulling this part of the yarn below. You just keep pulling this down because you don't want all your yarn to pool up over here. So now if you see, this has become a web like this. Can you see it? Yeah. So let me once again try to show you this. This is how the yarn will look when you place it on top of the previous stitch. Yeah, and you will hold it and pull the old stitch over the new stitch. That's it. We keep doing this, and it doesn't take very long, and after a little point of time you'll see that beautiful little cord will start coming out from the bottom. So I'm going to show that to you because I want you to it seems like it's something that it seems like a dream, but it does happen. So I'm going to show it to you, and while I do this quickly, I will tell you about a few other type of I-cords. I've prepared for this session, so I have some more gyan to give. And so yeah, so this is, as I said, French knitting is this French dolly, this knitting dolly is used to make an I-cord, but there are other ways to make an I-cord as well. I have previously shown in fact in the last 3 weeks I have put up pictures of 3 things which I made using 3 different techniques of I-cords. Now, one is a simple I-cord, which is, you just put which you make using 2 knitting needles. You slip your stitches and you normally knit them, and that's a round I-cord. That is the most common type of I-cord. I had made this white headband, and this is the I-cord that comes from that sort of. This is the most common I-cord. It is very sturdy. It feels like a rope. It can be used to make all sorts of things. I had previously used this I-cord to make rakhis. So this is something which should be in your repertoire. You can easily learn this. It's I can probably show it to you some other time. Probably easier to show things on 2 knitting needles because they are bigger. This is so small, it's very difficult to show anything. But yeah, so this is one type of I-cord. The second type of I-cord that I had made is this one, which I'd used here. This is a flat I-cord. A flat I-cord is also made on 2 knitting needles. The only difference is that it is not round, it is flat, which is why it gives a better, it looks better. So for making belts, or I don't know, I used it for a headband, but you can use I-cords for various things. So whenever you need something flat, flat I-cord is a great idea. Now the difference between a flat I-cord, between these 2 I-cords which you make over knitting needles and this I-cord which we are going to make on this knitting dolly, is just one very simple difference. On a knitting dolly, your the I-cord which will come out will be completely hollow. So in a way it will be a bit flimsy. It will not have any firmness. So making something very sturdy out of it becomes a bit difficult. The other 2 have more strength, and that is their value. The value to French knitting is this. The value to the I-cord that comes from French knitting is this, that you can put something in between. So like I'll show you this I have actually put a wire in between, because otherwise giving shape to anything, but to something like this is very difficult. So I have this wire. This is very easily available in the market, and I put this wire inside the I-cord, and because it's completely hollow, and after that you can give it any shape you want. You can, and in fact a lot of people put it as a covering. You can put it as a covering to hairbands, you can put it as a covering to anything you like. It's completely hollow from inside, so it can be used to give shape to many things. I suggest you get this is also not very expensive. You try your hand with this sort of thin wire. You can use it with a tapestry needle and just thread your wire inside your I-cord, and then you can make all sorts of shapes, anything you want. Actually, it's your imagination, and if you run out of imagination, then there are so many ideas on Pinterest. I mean, there are thousands of ideas on Pinterest. You will be amazed at the number of things, at the beautiful things that people make out of French I-cord. So this is a great product that way. Yeah, and I'm taking longer to do this because I keep talking and I keep making mistakes, but otherwise it's very fast. The other types of I-cord, because they involve knitting, tend to take a bit longer, but this usually In fact, it's already started. If I move a bit faster, and I'll be able to show you what I have been talking about in rather than just chatting on, which I like to do. And yeah, so some of the things that can be made with French I-cord, in fact with any kind of I-cord, is people make coasters, people make rugs, mats, people make wall hangings. If you use a sturdier sort of material, you can make almost anything. You can give free rein to your imagination. This is a completely different type of knitting. And if you don't like needles, a lot of people have a fear of needles. If you don't like a crochet hook, you can just stick to this type of knitting. I mean, you don't need to invest in anything else. Just stick to this type of knitting and you can make lots of things. You can use this I-cord as an edging to something. You can use it in a card. You can use it as lace for your shoes. It's the uses are endless, and it's fun to do. So this doesn't require that much attention. I do a lot of my knitting while watching television or listening to an audiobook. And this one especially, you don't end up making a mistake. Even if you make a mistake, it's so easily to undo it. Because simple, just have a look. It's just creating a sort of a web by repeating the same step again and again and again. You're doing the same thing again and and making a web. And even if you make a mistake sorry, even if you make a mistake, you can always undo it. It's very simple. Just like you have put your lower stitch over the newer one, over the yarn, you can reverse it. So you can what in knitting is called tinking. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it. In knitting, when you undo your knitting, it is called tinking. And I don't know what they call it in French knitting. I'm sure the French have some very interesting word for it. I'm not aware of it. But yeah, you can tink your way out of any mistake you make in French knitting as well. So very easy to do. In fact, I'm surprised that there are machines that do make this I-cord. It's a crank, you just have to do this, and people like to use that. I don't understand when something is this simple and it requires such little effort and such little time. Why do you need a machine to do something like that? But each to his own, his or her own. And I like to do it this way. And I have been thinking of so many ideas of what I can make and what I can do, that I think for a few months I'm going to experiment just with French knitting and I-cord. And I'm going to make different types of I-cord, not just on this dolly, because I love knitting and I love using knitting needles. But yeah, so while I'm doing this, for anyone who has joined now, you must be wondering, why is she nattering on? My name is Pallavi, and I run a website called One Knit at a Time, where I try to encourage people to knit and to share their knitting and to share their experiences. I talk about things which are important to me, how knitting has changed my life. I'm actually a lawyer, and knitting has changed my life a great deal. So and I want people's life to change like that, like it has changed mine, which is why I am so emphatic about it, which is why I keep saying that knit, or do something, pick up some other activity, which is very important, I think, in today's world. And this is my first video, which is why it looks like there's someone who's just sitting in her drawing room and chattering away. Actually, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm sitting in my drawing room and chattering away. But I wanted to connect with people who like to knit, and there is no better way to connect than by making a video. And I'm a bit camera shy, so that's why there's so many ums and Hopefully in the future, the next time I make a video, I will not say, I will be more clearer, and my ability to show you how to this part will be better. I'll know where the camera is and how to demonstrate it in front of the camera. But I hope that I have still managed to demonstrate how the lower stitch goes above the upper one. So if you were not there at the beginning or at the when I was explaining this, it's very simple. This is a French dolly. It is made out of wood and it has 4 pins. It is used for French knitting, and it is used to make an I-cord. And the principle is you put on 4 stitches and you keep moving towards the left. The basic principle is to move the lower stitch over the newer one, above the stitch above it, and create a new stitch. So it's if you're a knitter, it's like if you've done slip knit, it's like that decrease slip knit. So it's something like that. It's fairly simple, and I'm just I'm trying to do it as fast as I can to show you what a pleasure it is to see when the cord starts coming out of the bottom of this little thing. And I highly recommend it for children. I think that it's better to use your hands on a toy like this than on a on a game or something like that, which I also do. I'm equally guilty of playing a lot of phone games, and I actually started knitting for this reason, because I felt that I wanted my hands to do something else other than just playing games on the phone. And this was a great way, and I love when I see something beautiful that I have made, it gives me so much happiness, it gives me so much satisfaction, and I want other people to feel that way, which is why I encourage everyone to knit, or if you like to crochet, if you like to embroider, paint, up to you. It's a creative activity, and you choose whichever one you like. Knitting gives you a lot of scope, because there are so many different styles and there's so many different things you can make, which are highly utilitarian, highly useful, they're beautiful. So that is why I like knitting so much. Every time I want to make something, I feel bold, so I make a pair of socks for myself. I feel like giving myself something for a hair accessory, I just knit it for myself. So that sort of sense of empowerment feels great. Every time I want to make something, wear something pretty, I can just make it, and I think that is a great feeling. So I want everyone to feel that way, which is why I keep telling people to knit. It is a dying art, at least of the people I know. Not a lot of people who like to knit, but just because something is not done anymore doesn't mean that it can't be revived. It should be revived. I mean, if yoga can be revived, so can knitting. I have written several times on the the benefits of knitting on your mental health and on your brain, and peace it brings you. So all in all, it is a great activity which should be, maybe, I don't know, taught in schools. My niece and nephew learn it in school, so it's a part of that. They are part of this school system called Waldorf, and it is a part of their curriculum. They have to learn how to knit and crochet, and irrespective of whether it's my nephew or it's my niece, they both have to learn, because I don't know, it's something which is considered important, and I think it's a great idea. Okay, so while I have been chattering away, something has been coming out from below, if you can see. This is the I-cord which is coming out from the bottom, and the more you do this, if you keep doing this, it'll just keep growing. However long you want, you can keep making this. This is damn simple. One last time I'll just show you how it's done, and then I will show you how to bind off. So just 1 minute. Yeah, so this is your yarn, your working yarn. Working yarn is the yarn which is attached to your yarn ball. You sort of move it towards the left, and you wrap it not around the knitting needle, just against, let's say, just against the knitting the pin on the next right on the left. And what you have to do is pick up the, yeah, so I'm talking about this one. So you have to pick up the stitch in the which is at the bottom, and you have to take it above this. Let's see if I can do it without fumbling. I can't because, yeah, so you have to pick it, and you have to, that leaves you with just one stitch, and you keep doing this, you keep doing this, and you keep pulling this from, don't forget to pull this from below, because otherwise all your knitting will get pulled up here and it'll get quite messy. Now to finish this off, you have to reach your first stitch. So that's why I told you to keep in mind what your which one was your last stitch, so that you could end it there. My last stitch was actually no, sorry, my first stitch was actually the one above this little guy's left eye, and that is also going to be my last stitch. So just let me get there, and then I'll show you how to cast off. Casting off is pretty simple. Yeah, so this is the last stitch, this is your yarn, and this is where the trusty pair of scissors comes handy. Just cut off your yarn, and you don't need to make it very long because there are just 4 stitches to bind off. And take your tapestry needle. This is the second place where you need a tapestry needle. You can, like I said, you could have used your tapestry needle instead of your double pointed needle to work your stitches. You could have used a crochet hook. Totally depends. You could have used a toothpick, you could have used your hands. It totally depends on you, on what you want to use. So yeah, so once you have threaded your tapestry needle, you go to the pin which is towards the left of your last stitch, and instead of picking up that stitch like you have been doing, just put your needle through that stitch, so, and pull, yeah, and take this stitch off the pin. Done. First stitch bound off. Now put your needle through the second stitch, pull it tight, and take it off the needle. Second stitch done. Now it's time for the third stitch. Same thing, take it through, pull it tight, take it off the needle, and the last stitch, take it through, pull it tight, and take it off the needle. There you have it. Your I-cord is ready. You can just, actually it's already bound off, but just to be on the safe side, just weave in your end to make sure that nothing opens up, and that's it. You have a small piece of I-cord ready, and do anything, make a friendship band for this, with this, do anything that you like with this. It's actually that simple. For like I said, you can thread this wire in to give it some shape and do all sorts of things with this. So this was my attempt at trying to teach everyone how to do French knitting. And in case my instructions were not clear, I'll try to put up some pictures on my website so that you can so that you can get a clearer picture. I hope you enjoyed watching me fumble along and chatter along. If you did, please like this video and like my page, and so that you can see more videos. Let me know if you want more videos. I would be very happy to do more. It would give me great pleasure. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you all, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.